Well, hello, magical, fantastical, weird, kooky badooky people of the internet. So welcome back to Love Beer Radio with me, Matt from Massive Beer Reviews, and Herr Joseph from NEP Beer Reviews, baby. What's going on, brother?
How are you? Not too much.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like I'm in Pittston and I'm driving home and I got a flat tire and then I got a small car accident. And then I got stopped by some Jehovah's Witnesses, so that's why I'm late. Oh wait, you saw me at the bar, so I can't use that excuse. Oh, that's
that excuse.
Yeah.
No. I'm not gonna lie. I was fully. If I didn't see your car in the parking lot when I went over there, I would have been a little confused.
Flabbergasted, I guess the word would be. Yeah. But yeah, it was like I didn't want to stay that long, and actually ended up being like a kind of a business thing that it was in the making. That's the whole reason why I wanted to push it back a little bit this week, because I thought I was going to go in and do some, not business, but just take care of some shit that could do something for the future. I don't want to talk about it. But what happened was that the owner, Lindo, he got tied up with some kind of zoning permit shit. So he didn't even come out until we were there already for 45 minutes. So that's why I ended up getting tied up longer than what I thought I anticipated, which sounds like a bunch of malarkey. So let's not even fucking talk about it. Anyway, yeah, weird. My fucking camera is all weird today. I don't know what's going on with it. But
that's weird.
Yeah. Anyway, so what's the word, brother? What's going on? What's new? What's happening?
Not too much. Home for a little while longer. Came in on Wednesday.
Okay.
And have these long weekends now. I'm like, let me go home, bum around by the pool, get fucking roasted with a sunburn yesterday.
How was it though? I mean, he actually came home and it sounded like you relaxed and really didn't do shit. You didn't brew. You didn't stress yourself out. You actually just enjoyed yourself and didn't do anything crazy.
I did nothing. Typically when I come home and brew, I'm home for at least a week, just so I can like kind of monitor everything for a little while. You know, if I brew something that I'm going to age, I don't really mind. I don't really mind brewing and then taking right off. But if it's something that I want like a little bit quicker turnaround on, I'd like a little bit more time to actually, potentially get it into bottles before I go back.
Nice, man. So that's like, the shit you need to do,
That other barley wine that I made the last time I was in is still fucking fermenting.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's a little bit weird.
I'm not surprised at all. I think that super high gravity yeast is as tolerant as they say it is.
Well, it's definitely more tolerant than I am because I'm fucking intolerant to a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So there you go. Oh, so what do we got going on? What do we got? You got any interesting tidbits or news or anything like that, or what?
Nothing really. How's the whole radio show going?
Good. That sounds kind of cryptic.
Yeah.
But it's just it's going cool. You know what I mean? Like we did ska brewing today. Do I look all like herky jerky on your end and shit like that?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my stuff right now.
That's weird. It's usually me that's like that.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think if there's anything open that's making internet.
How is that ska brewing?
Listen, dude, I'm going to tell you right now. I've never had anything from them before.
Yeah, same here.
So I was super excited to give them a whirl because I've never had anything from them, and we did 5 beers from them. 3 of them were okay. They were decent, nothing too crazy. I could take it or leave it kind of shit. But then I had 2 beers. Their most popular beer, which is their Modus Operandi, which is like their IPA. It's super malt forward.
I thought it was a porter or something.
Mm-mm.
Or no, that's 10-pin or something like
It's
that.
10-pin. Yeah. It's like I forget what that one's called. It's like Imperial 10-pin something, or Nefarious 10-pin, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
The modus operandi was really, really nice. Enjoyed the living crap out of it. And then we actually did I think I actually might have cut out right there because I don't even see my camera anymore. Hold on one second. Do you see me?
Yeah, you're not even moving.
Yeah.
You're not.
So you talk for a minute. I'm gonna try to finagle my shit and get my shit to work. So you talk for a second.
Well, so this I don't even.
entertaining radio, I know. Just trying to get the shit back up. I apologize. Super, super, super exciting radio. Had a little bit of a snafu with my fucking computer. I don't know what's going on. My one USB port must be going, so that's why shit kind of went sideways. So hopefully Joe reconnects now, and then we kind of get this shit back on the road. Such is the life of live radio, I guess you would say. So we'll see what happens here. Okay. You can watch me send Joe another invite. And once he gets in here, we'll get this shit back going. So it seems like shit is back on track. Most entertaining shit in the history of mankind. I have to send him a separate invite because he's on an iPad, so his shit sucks. And there we go. Yeah, that was weird from the get-go. I actually don't know what was going on right there. Like I said, I think it's a USB port thing. Because it was actually gave me, like, when I rebooted my computer, it gave me some kind of bizarre, like, USB port failure kind of thingamabob, or whatever the fuck it is. So, anyway. So, yeah, I could sing you a song, or I could sit here and babble incoherently into the camera, or I can continue with what I was saying, which was basically talking about the radio show. I was talking about Ska Brewing. We had Ska Brewing on the Beer Geeks Radio Hour today. It was actually a pretty damn good show, beer-wise, and that's where I kind of left off when shit went fucking sideways, Joe. Is I was talking about they had like three of their beers are okay. Like one was actually no good. Two of them were okay, and then we had the Modus Operandi, which is their hop forward IPA. Actually, not hop forward; it was just a double IPA. They say single IPA. I think it was double IPA. Regardless, it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. But then we had what was it? I forget the exact name of it. I took a picture so I wouldn't forget because I knew I'd forget. It was their Estevial Cream Stout. What it was a cream stout brewed with what tastes like chocolate and fucking orange peel. Okay, here's the fucking thing. It was fucking amazing. Like one of the rare beers that I've had in a while that kind of I stepped back. I was like, holy shit balls. I was like, this is fucking crazy good. It tasted like an orange creamsicle mixed with a fluffernutter with coffee. And it was delicious. Ooh. It drank like a 12% beer, and it was like fucking, I don't even know, 5% or 6% or something, or 8%. It was absolutely fucking delicious.
That sounds really, really good. Do you know, like, where...
Ska Brewing's out of Colorado.
I know they're from Colorado. Do you know how far out
they really don't get any kind of distribution. But here's the deal, man. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to badger them to send me some beer so I can review it. Because it was so good, and the head brewer, we talked to the head brewer, is super cool. I'm literally going to write him probably after the show or tomorrow, and I'm just going to be like, hey, man, you know, I do the Beer Geeks thing, but at the same time, I'm like, I do this review stuff. I really want to review this one beer because I think people need to know about it. So I'm going to ask him for some. Hopefully I can get doubles, and if I get doubles, I'll save one for you. Because it's fucking, it was that fucking good. So, yeah. So the show's going cool. Next week we got Southern Tier, so what is it? The fucking Pumpkin and fucking what's the other one that I don't like? Creme brulee.
Creme brulee.
You know, hopefully I send a Goat Boy or something interesting, but we'll see. So yeah.
So do we have all of our all the technical difficulties taken care of now?
Yeah, apparently my computer went sideways. I don't know if I've just been lucky up until now, but I basically plug all my. I have a USB microphone. I have a USB camera, and I just plugged them in the front of my computer. And apparently one port is a slow port, and the other one's a fast one. Unless the computer is dumb, I've been plugging them in the right way, and apparently must have switched them, even though I didn't know you couldn't switch them. So it basically said my camera was fucked up and that it can't run optimally. So hopefully we're good. We're good to go. So there you go. Which I actually kind of knew, but right when we first started, because I was in 4:3 view, like it looked like old TV. I wasn't in widescreen HD, and I was like, why is this like this? And then I noticed shit was getting choppy. So technical difficulties aside, there you go. So,
cool.
What's going on? Start this over again. How's life?
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Came in for a couple of days and just did a whole lot of nothing, basically.
Whole lot of meat. I saw a lot of meat involved in your life yesterday.
Yes, grilling. We had people over yesterday, for just a little cookout while I'm home. So yeah, I usually take charge of cooking on these occasions.
Nice. And you're drinking water, so that's
a large thing of water.
Yeah, trying to rehydrate.
My water consumption when I come home is basically goes down to zero, for the most part, as opposed to when I'm in my apartment, and it's like 2 to 2.5 liters a day. So
nice.
A roughly half a gallon for people who are not metrically
proficient
aligned.
Metric, or you could say metrically challenged. That might work too.
Metrically challenged. That was I couldn't think of it. Yeah, that's what I was pretty much going for.
Yeah. God damn. You're turning into a Canuck, you douche.
I fucking am. I almost organically said A the other day.
Oh, no.
It's happening. It's going to happen one day.
Oh, no.
Say it.
Oh, no. I hope you don't say A. That would be horrible. Oh. What's that about?
I know, right?
Okay, so you ate meat and you're almost Canadian. I drank beer from a brewery named after a cheesy 80s music style. So what are we talking about this week, man? What's
today?
the
We're talking about beers that kind of say they're a certain style, but they're really a style all of their own. So we'll be talking about a couple of beers like that, and then on our initial billing for the show, we had Jack's Abbey, Mass Rising as the review.
Somebody fucking screwed the pooch on that one.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I left that in my apartment, so that's not going to happen this week. Instead, we're going to be doing Endless Brewing's Grasshopper Pale Ale, which is a really, really good pale ale. Kind of giving opinions away now. And then we're going to finish off the show talking about how we kind of think these beers become something of their own. Like they're a style, but how do they really become something else?
Yeah, so. That's sounds like a plan, baby. You kick it off. You start it off, so I can do what I need to do here.
When we're talking about this, it's not a beer is really a Belgian wit, but the label says it's a saison. It's nowhere near a saison. This is, beers like Sammy Claus and Thomas Hardy, probably Dogfish Head's 120. Then like North Coast Old Stock. I think you've kind of grouped that beer into this kind of category.
Yeah.
Would you say that's more when it's aged or?
Well, no, I mean, I actually think Old Stock is spot on with its style. To me, Old Stock and Hardy's are, to me, what an old ale is. I think all the other ones are fucked up, but that's just me.
Mm. But like I'm grouped like this, like you've kind of said this before, where like Old Stock is almost kind of in a league of its of its own, and that's where I'm going. Would you say that it's when it's fresh, it's
well,
like that, or would you need some time on it? Like
well, that's the thing. I actually don't. I don't think that. I think Old Stock is in a league of its own, but I think it's true to style. I think what we're hitting at would be perfect example would be Sammy Claus, where Sammy Claus is classified as a Doppelbock, but it's not. It's not even remotely resembling a Doppelbock. It's like if you drank that, you're like, am I drinking port wine? Like, what's going on? Like, it's not even like you can't confuse it with a Doppelbock. The only reason why we call it a Doppelbock is it says it on the fucking label. You know what I mean? Like, it is a lager because it's brewed through a lagering process, yada, yada, yada. But it's not. It's not a fucking Doppelbock. And that's kind of like the same thing when, like you were saying, 120 and called a double IPA. It's not a fucking double IPA. It's at loose best, it's an American barley wine, but it's still not even an American barley wine. It's its own entity. And I think that's the core what we're trying to hit off on this one is basically saying, it's fucking beers that are just not what they are. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's it. So,
but
to me,
in a good way though, not in.
In a good way.
Not like I said, the Belgian wit. That's a saison. It's not a brewery mislabeling.
Yes.
A beer.
They've basically they're classified
somewhere.
Yeah, they're classified. Sammy Claus is classified as a Doppelbock. And 120 is classified as a double IPA or extreme IPA, whatever you want to call it, because there is no fucking classification for it. So you got to fucking put something on the fucking label. And it's kind of like what would you classify Utopias as? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd classify it cognac. Yeah, I'd classify it as cognac. But it's like it's beer, so it's like there really is no classification. Again, precursor to that, Sam Adams Triple Bock. I've had Triple Bocks before. That's not what Sam Adams Triple Bock is. It's just, at the time when Sam Adams came out with Triple Bock, there was double bocks and no triple bocks, and they go, let's call it a Triple Bock just to call it something, but it's not really even that kind of beer anymore.
Let's make this something just because we fucking have to.
And here's the thing with beers like that, and this is kind of like my whole philosophy on it. I've never been like what's the word I'm looking for? I've never been like, okay, beer needs to be classified exactly what it needs to be. Like, there's a lot of beers that I really enjoy that are what I would consider what BJCP would be considered out of style. You know what I mean? Belgians, a ton of them. There's a bunch of quads that aren't quads, and there's a bunch of darks that should be quads. Like, that's easy. But then there's like, again, Sammy Claus, the one beer I've had, Thomas Creek, up the creek. The extreme IPA, it's not a fucking extreme IPA. It's something totally fucking different. Here's the thing.
Also, at the same time, not exactly a barley wine. It's something.
It's its own thing. But the thing is, I think a lot of those beers are like actually like stars of the show. I'm like turning around right now just to look at my shelf, just to kind of pick off like a bunch of these beers up here are classified as something, and I like them because they're beyond what their classification actually is. You know what I mean? If I look at it like, you probably can't see a lot of them up here. That's Columbus. It's Brewery IJ. It's a Belgian Pale Ale. It's not a Belgian Pale Ale. You know what I mean? It's not. It's its own beer. It's a Brewery IJ Columbus, a sucker right there. That beer is fantastic, but it's not. It's not a Belgian IPA. This, which we did, this would be another one I think we did say. That was at Harvey's Russian Imperial. That's not a Russian Imperial Stout. I don't know what it was, but it was fucking delicious. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like there's so many beers up here I've had throughout my life that aren't up there that are just outside of what would typically be classified as the norm. But they're all fucking delicious. Like, when's the last time you had a beer that wasn't so far outside of a classification and it was horrible? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, this beer sucks and it's not an IPA. Usually it's like, okay, this beer is mediocre or shitty, but it's absolutely a fucking IPA it's just a shitty one.
I was just going to say that it's usually just a mediocre example of that style. I got this idea of like really wanting to talk about this either on my own website, or I think I would have rather have done this. Was just basically talking about this subject, and it came up when I reviewed Sammy Claus a couple months back. I'm like, how, like, I knocked the Not Your Father's Root Beer for not technically being beer. But at the same time, I'm like, I can't. I'm like, how? Like, I'm in my own review. I'm like, this isn't a Doppelbock. But if you look at my other review, you're gonna say, wait, hold on now. You knocked this down. You knocked this beer down for being not what it says. Why aren't you doing it here? I'm like, because this is something completely different. This isn't just a hard root beer. This isn't just it's not just a Sammy Claus, for example, is not just a Doppelbock. It's, I think if they really wanted to, they could be like, yeah, they could just make up their own classification for it, and I feel like a lot of people would just be like, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, a lot, and that goes for a lot of beers. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how to articulate it properly, and I think I'm having a hard time doing so. Is that, like, a beer doesn't have to be what it says it is. It just has to be awesome. I mean, classification of a beer is a good thing, because if you think about it, Sammy Claus, if you were to look at Sammy Claus and then be like, okay, where would we put it? I guess Doppelbock, because it is a lager, that's where you'd naturally put it. 120, you'd naturally put it in that place. They expand beyond the norms of the style, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say about it. I just think it's fucking delicious. They're all delicious. Like when you sent me this topic this week, I actually got like a little bit excited about it, because I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, pretty much all the beers I love are kind of like on the edge, flirting with the edge of what they actually are. You know what I mean? As far as goodness goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I keep looking off camera and I keep looking at beers and I'm like, okay, yeah, that one's not that. No, that's not that. Like every single one of them I look at is just weird. So I don't know.
Like one thing I was kind of able to do with my own brewing, just from being up at school, was if a beer didn't turn out the exact way you thought it was going to turn out, call it how it turned out. So for example, I made what I was going for was that Amarillo IPA.
Okay.
It didn't ferment out as much as I would have liked it to. So in turn, it was a little bit more malty. It still had a little bit of sugar to it. And I'm like, in the past, I feel like I would have been like, well, this is a failure, never fucking doing this again. But now I'm like drinking. I'm like, this isn't really an IPA, but this is a pretty fucking good red ale.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the like, I feel like I said before, if this was one of my first brews out the gate and I rushed it and it didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted to, I've been like, fuck this. I'm done. Like I said, never doing this again. And now I'm like, this isn't the end of the world. I know what I did wrong. If I wanted to recreate it and do it the way that I really wanted to,
which you actually did, right? The same day. Didn't you do 2 batches and one was spot on?
Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
Galaxy one is the only beer that I've ever duplicated, and it actually turned out very well both times. Little different, and there was just too much malt. There was more malt in it than with the Galaxy, and it just didn't get down low enough in the like week and a half that I should have let it go for the full 2 weeks. I think just a couple more days would have done it. But it turned out all right, and it tasted just fine. So like that's just with my own brewing. I'm kind of figuring out like, hey, it's not always the end of the world if a beer doesn't turn out exactly how it was supposed to. And I don't know if this has now, if that's kind of how some of these beers came about. It's like, we're going for this. Well, it's not. but I don't know what to call it now. Like in my example, yeah, red ale is a thing. I can say this isn't an IPA, this is a red ale, and everyone will go, okay. I think this is just speculation. Maybe when these beers were originally coming about, there is no classification for it. So they had to go with what people will recognize. In the case of Sammy Claus, people will recognize a Doppelbock. They won't recognize whatever the fuck they feel like it should actually be classified as.
Yeah, but the problem with that, and this goes with a lot of beers that are like that, is that classification, like I said, to me, as long as the beer is good, I generally don't give too much of a shit. Where I do give a shit is a perfect example. My brother-in-law, he picked up a case of that Thomas Creek's Up the Creek because it was labeled as an extreme IPA, and he loves IPAs. I ended up getting a case. He drank one and gave me the rest of the case because he fucking didn't like it because it's not a double IPA, and that's kind of where I think that's a weird one.
That's when it goes wrong. I mean, we've all had kind of the beer that says it's a, let's say, for example, let's say it's a saison, and you're expecting something that's a little bit more funky, maybe a little barnyardy, and then you open it up, pour it, start to drinking,
and it's a Belgian triple,
and it's or it's a Belgian wit beer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm now fully disappointed. Instead of this, well, in the case with you with that Up the Creek, it says extreme IPA. You opened it up and like, this isn't a fucking extreme IPA, but it's something that you're into. And then there's that dividing line, and it could go. You could either be disappointed or you could be excited.
And a lot of times I actually think price point kind of corrects that a little bit because because a lot of times like someone will grab someone grabs a 4-pack of fucking 120 and they go to the register going, oh, I like double IPAs, and then the guy rings them up and goes, okay, that's $52. They'll be like,
yeah,
what
the fuck? Yeah,
and then at that point the person's probably like, okay, I'm dealing with something other than what I'm normally doing with. Same thing with Sammy Claus. You're like, okay, I'm gonna get a 4-pack of a Doppelbock. That'll be $23, sir. And be like, why is it $23? Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of where price point I might correct stuff, but that Thomas Creek was $63 for a case. You know what I mean? So it was like, whatever. But it's like that's the only time it becomes like an issue for me. The whole like beer labeling thing being within a style. I know we're kind of talking opposite of that, actually talking beers that go beyond style, but
I think talking about this is I think it's gonna it matters. I think it in the long run it kind of matters when we're in the concept of the topic.
But yeah, I mean, like I'm just looking around. So many beers, like if you're like, I can understand, like there's like, I'm a neurotic person. I do neurotic things. I have neurotic tendencies, and but I'm not that way with labeling with beer. Like with actual labels, I am, because I love labels. But actually classification. But I could absolutely get where there's there's a bunch of probably like level 10. Like, I live and die by BJCP guys that literally probably have fucking panic attacks anytime they buy beer, because I'm looking right now and I'm trying to pick out perfect 2-style beers. And it's real fucking hard to pick them out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking like Courage Russian Imperial Stout. That's what a Russian Imperial Stout should be. Yeah. What else? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So it's like there's so many beers that literally skirt the edges of or break the rules of what a beer is supposed to be classified as. And I think where you have that atypical BJCP like Nazi, I think while it's cool to have a beer brewed perfectly to style, I think it's the ones that go outside the box that fucking make beer worth drinking. You know what I mean? They're exploring something. They're going something different. And this all comes. Go ahead.
For me, the BJCP is more geared toward the home brewer. I mean, as a, I think as a commercial brewer, you don't really have to worry about it too much. You just kind of have to call your beer something. And if you want to brew exactly to style, then knock yourself out. But if you don't want to do that and you want to if you want to play around with certain styles, do that as well. I think, there's no, it's not written in stone that, an imperial stout has to be this, or like a wheat beer has to be this. You can play, you have some leeway in my mind.
No, you do. And that's the thing, like to me, like BJCP when it comes to styles and classification is it's like a speed limit sign. It's like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. When's the last time I drove the speed limit? I have fucking no clue. You know what I mean? And I and I enjoy living life beyond that but beyond that. Now, some people adhere to that shit. That's how they live their lives. That's what they do. And that's how life makes sense to them. And who am I to poo-poo on them? You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, I don't think there's fun driving the speed limit. That's what I'm saying. Like, actually, I shouldn't even say that, because a classically made, perfect done style actually does get me off. So I shouldn't say I don't like doing the speed limit, but I like it on a nice sunny afternoon to where I'm enjoying some music and laying back and just taking in the scenery. But most of the time, I like my fucking hair on fire, my fucking life on the edge kind of shit going on. And
that was another thing, like with I'm going to revert this back to my own homebrewing. I never really brewed anything to style. I always wanted it to be fun. If it was never fun, this is not worth it now. So I always wanted to experiment. I always wanted to put something different in my beers. Now that I'm, eventually going to have a brew pub or a brewery or whatever, there are certain things where I'm like, I really want to have this beer that I like doing, my Galaxy IPA, for example. If I could repeat that over and over again, that is easily a beer that I would have, that I would market, but at the same time, I still want to experiment. I have a sour and 2 barley wines going right now, and but the big beer is that's a whole other brewing podcast topic. That's mostly what I like to brew. But I'm always experimenting, even with those styles, even with those recipes that I have. I'm like, I have this recipe. Well, let's change out this malt and put this one in. Let's change this yeast now. I already want to change the hops in most of my big beer recipes.
Well, you just said last time you were in, you were kind of just not being all where you going all Cascade most of the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Cascade most of the time, and the dude at the homebrew shop was like, "Oh, it might be hard to get." I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. It's already on its way out in most of my recipes. I don't give a shit.
Nice. I mean, like, as far as like us talking about like out of the style norm beers, do you have a list of stuff, or you just go off the top of your head?
I was just kind of going off the top of my head, and I think I kind of hit that with like 120, kind of Sammy Claus, Thomas Hardy, like that kind of.
And that's where I disagree with you with Thomas Hardy. That's one like, to me, Thomas Hardy is the definition of an old ale. To me, it is. Whether it's within BJCP style, I don't know.
I mean, at the same time, I feel like there's nothing in my mind. There's nothing else like it, to the point of where I have 2 beers that are using the same yeast. Those 2 barley wines that I was talking about, they're using the same yeast solely on the speculation that it could be the Thomas Hardy yeast. So for me, that beer is definitely unlike. I'm talking more about beers that are unlike anything else when I'm referring to that one.
I got you. Like, I got another one would be I guess you would put that in there. The Dogfish Head Worldwide is another one like that. I'm trying to think. Oladub's like that. Like, not that it's a great beer, but it's actually its own unique take on a beer. A lot of like small one-off beers are kind of like that. Yeah. Every single Dude SCL beer. No, but there's a lot of beers that actually escape the outside the norm box. But yeah, I mean it's a weird thing because not to rehash the same thing over and over again, but like when you reviewed Santa Claus, like that's like when I gave you your first Santa Claus, what was it, like 6 months ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck? What is this? Like you never had anything like it. You'll never have it again. And that's why I'm bringing up a lot of beers that I think have some similarities with other stuff. But like you said, like with an old Thomas Hardy, like really, I mean, there's some beers I've had to have come close, but it's really what it is. But actually, Santa Claus is probably. I think Santa Claus is the most unique beer in the world. Because I think Santa Claus is the most unique beer in the world. Because I've had beers that kind of give me a little bit of what 120 does, and I've had beers that kind of taste kind of sort of like a Hardy. Yeah. I've never had a beer I was like, oh yeah, this tastes like Santa Claus. I mean, some blonde barley wines kind of flirt the edge of it. Actually, that's not true. I'm lying. So there you go. Because I remember actually referencing that when we did, I think it was the Bender's barley wine when we did the Alza Hamden fucking Pizza Boy bought one. I said, oh, it tastes like an apple-based Santa Claus. That's actually, I think I remember saying those exact words.
I stopped watching. I'm going to be...
that was our drunk reviews.
Those were... When I started talking super fucking slow, like there's a good 30-second gap in between every word that I'm saying, I'm like, nope, turn it off immediately. Never. I haven't watched any of them since.
Those are the best kind of reviews, baby.
I know, right?
I have reviews from like 2 weeks ago to where I'm like, I woke up and there was reviews on my phone. I don't even remember hitting record. And it was a group of people, but it was with a group of people. It was during a bottle share. It wasn't like I was sitting home by myself getting ripped. I was like sitting there. I'm like, I opened up my phone and I'm like looking through, like, oh my God, did I do my? I'm like, what? I reviewed that with who? I'm like, who is that person? I was like, oh well.
When?
And I was like,
Where is this?
Probably just sound like a drunk caveman. I'm like, this is good. The beer's good. So yeah.
What's up, YouTube?
No, it's how you doing, YouTube? How you doing, YouTube?
Yeah.
How you doing, YouTube? Okay. You want to review a beer? You want to review one?
Yeah, let me go grab it real quick. I have it in the fridge.
Look at this. Have it in the fridge. I got my shit prepped and ready to go. Mika's angry that Joe just ran off camera. It's like this whole big ordeal. Shut up, Mika. Okay. So today we're going to be reviewing a super local brewery to me. I actually posted a review of this already. But I don't care because I can review something more than once. We're going to be reviewing Endless Brewing's Grasshopper Pale Ale. A super duper 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 ghetto label. As you can see, it's probably as ghetto as you get. But that is not necessarily a bad thing. So there you go. It's a pale ale. Let's see. 5.5% alcohol by volume. That's pretty much it. Montrose, PA, Grasshopper Pale Ale. So yeah.
Yep.
So we drank this at the bar, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I grabbed, the last time I was in, I brought a 4-pack back up to school with me, and then immediately regretted only bringing a 4-pack up. Which is why I have like 3 4-packs now. Well,
did you share it?
Yes, I did.
And how did it get received?
Oh, really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, I mean mine, I got 19 feet of head, just off white. Actually, it's
got
pretty
about
much
a finger on mine.
Yeah, well, I pour like a douchebag. And this is weird. I must have poured into a weird glass because I have crazy carbonation on the side of mine too. So yeah, let's see what she has on the nose. Sweet citrus, baby. Gotta have that citrus, a little bit of tropical fruit, maybe a little bit of lemongrass, maybe.
Yeah, just a lot of hop character, not way more citrus and tropical kind of. I don't know, like
I'd go 3/4 citrus, just a dash, like a quarter of tropical. Like it's not a ton of tropical. It's all citrus, and then it smells light.
No real pine either, which is pretty nice.
It smells super refreshing.
Yeah. No malt character. This is all hops.
Let's dive in. Cheers, baby.
Right. Cheers.
Here's the deal. I would love to crush like 17 of those in a day.
Yeah.
Like this is to me, this is my Pabst. This is my, you know what I mean? I would drink this all day, every day at a barbecue and never get tired of it. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about this beer. The only problem is it's not priced like that. And that's kind of where I kind of have issues with it because I think it was $14 for $13.95 for a 4-pack. Yeah. Now they are bombers or big tall boys, I guess say.
Yeah, pounder
cans. So you get a decent sized can, but the price point it's and this is local people. Like we're talking like if you do not live in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, you're not getting this beer. It's not like you're not living in northeastern Pennsylvania. No. If you don't live in the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre metro area, you're not getting this beer.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that trying to be like, hey, I have a beer you haven't had. I'm just saying that's how local it is. I'm not trying to express I have a beer.
That's how small these guys are.
Yeah. And it's just what I want. This is what I want in a 24-pack of bottles for $20 to $30 a case. But it's not that.
It's not that. This is what I want in a pale ale. You know, something really easy drinking. Tons of hop flavor. In a can, which makes it even better. You know, all that stuff is staying nice and fresh for a little bit longer. If it were, what would your perfect price point be for a 4-pack?
$8.99.
Yeah.
That would be my.
Do you think the fact that it's in cans makes it? Do you think it would be a little bit cheaper if they were in 12-ounce cans instead of pounders?
No, because I think pounders are kind of like the can de jour. Like you have all these, you have your cartons or your canes and all these breweries that are producing cans and they're all pounders. It's kind of like the can.
That's pretty much the standard in Canada as well. If you're in a can, it's in a pounder.
Yeah. So it's like that's the canning thing, and I'm sure, honestly, I have no data to back this up, but I bet my left testicle that this is. Like probably some mobile canning unit that just shows up at their place and says, "Hey, you want some cans?" You know what I mean?
Probably.
So it's like what they have.
Pretty much, you get the cans. They come with the canning line, and there you go.
And they probably give them a better. They probably give them a better rate on pounders as opposed to 12 ounces.
Probably.
That's my guess. Again,
I don't know.
Spitballing it, but
looked into that end of packaging. I should ask some of the guys in the brewery.
Yeah, you should. God damn it. You have access. So yeah, I mean this is exactly what I want from and I don't want to say a lawnmower beer, I don't want to say a gardening beer. I just want to say it's better than that, but it's also what I want in those situations. So it's just a really well done beer.
This is a sitting outside on a hot day kind of beer, you know, and that's the reason why I'm bringing back so much of it is because there's only so much of our big beers that you can drink outside all fucking day. Like you're not gonna feel well. You can do it, but it's not gonna be a good experience to drink a ton of like 10% barrel aged barley wines when it's 95 degrees outside. If you're inside, that's a different story. But if you want to sit outside at a barbecue, you need something a little bit lighter. And this, for me, does it.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's my review. It's delicious. Rating wise, I forget what I gave this originally. So I'm kind of putting myself out there, but I'm going to say, as it sits right now, what I'm drinking, I give it an 88.
88?
Yeah.
I'd probably go, honestly, I'd probably go a little bit higher. I'd go with an A. For me, like I said before, this is everything. This is what I want in a pale ale. It's probably one of the best just pale ales that I've had in a long time. And take into account in that the brewery is within driving distance. Like, this is what Montrose is what, hour?
Yeah, hour north of us.
So they're not coming very far. They're not sitting around for a ton of time. They're hitting the shelves and they're leaving the shelves within a good period. So you got to take that into an account when I say this is exactly what I want in an IPA, or not an IPA, a pale ale.
Value and availability. That's I do that whole thing. Availability is for me a 10. For most people is a 1 because, like I said, it's regionally. It's not even statewide or regionally statewide. It's locally regional. And value, I'm gonna have to give it a 4 because, like I said, $14 for a 4-pack of Pounders. 10. If this is $10 for a 4-pack of Pounders, I give it a 7, 8, pushing a 9. If it was $9, I'd give it a 10. It's just I don't get it. I just don't get that price point. I understand the hard work and the time and effort is exponentially harder when you're smaller. Sorry, go ahead.
I think the size of the brewery is really taking into an account. I know next to nothing about Endless, which is odd. For me, I would have at least know what size brewery what size system they have, but I would assume that they have a fairly smaller system. With any expansions because they're just now starting to really come down this way. I remember a couple years back, I was at one of the Electric City Brew Fests, and someone told me, have you been up to Endless yet? And I'm like, no, I haven't. I hadn't even heard of them at this point. And now they're seeing distribution down this way, so I think we might see an expansion from them, and I think with a little bit bigger, with a bigger brew house, bigger system, that's more beer now. More beer, we can now price it a little bit lower, and that's just pure speculation. But I think that's what might happen within the next couple of years out of Endless.
We'll see. I mean, they've already made big beers. You know what I mean? Like I picked up a wine barrel aged barley wine. No, it was a grape aged
barrel.
Jack Daniel's barrel aged with grape must or grape whatever, 6 things. Basically, it was a kooky beer. Not only did they make it, but they made it like 2 years ago, and they already aged it and then bottled it and let the bottle sit. So they're a forward-thinking brewery, which is kind of cool because a lot of breweries in this area are there's 2 different kind of breweries in there. There's the quick to go, and they just want to go and put their shit out there. There's people like Endless, and there's people like Breaker who kind of take their time and are trying to figure shit out.
Around here, more so mass appeal.
Yes.
What's the general population going to like and going to buy, instead of the handful of people that are going to spend money on a beer that we first barrel age, then bottle and age in house.
Yeah.
And I think that could, once breweries realize that that's a viable option, and then people will actually appreciate that, I think we'll see more of it around here.
Hopefully, hopefully. So yeah. So absolutely fantastic crushable beer. That's basically all there is to it.
Yeah. I think they're kegging this. Lindo was saying that they're kegging this for the first time.
Yeah, they're kegging it. He's getting some sixtels of it. He'll probably do some fucking Firkin shit with it. I have no idea what's going on, but that's Lindo. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
He can get whatever the fuck he wants.
He gave me a bunch of shit today. Not beer, but he gave me these awesome fucking package shippers, because I guess he gets, like, he's been getting a ton of stuff. It's like for beer mails. Like, I'm like, holy shit!
Okay.
Like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Speaking of that, when I go back, I got to get you one of these 6-packs. Let me talk for a second. I got to show you this.
Yeah, Jim's gonna show me packing stuff. When he comes back, shows me what he's gonna show me. I'm gonna grab these mailers and show you. They're gonna be fucking perfect. Like, usually when I ship beer out, I go out of my way. Like, I kind of like sit there and like I pack. I probably go over the top with packaging, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, it's a ton of peanuts. I individually wrap each one with foam, then bag it and then wrap it with foam, and then just go over the top with shit. So to have a lighter, more fucking economical packaging, I'm actually blown away. So what do you got, Joe? What are you gonna show me?
I got this Bomber fucking 6-pack holder. That is.
Oh, I've seen those though. I've seen those.
These are fucking great.
I've seen those at where the fuck did I see those? I saw those like a couple days ago. Oh, last night I saw them. That's where it was. I went to a buddy of mine, George. He went up. A friend of his brought back a bunch of like bombers from like New England, and that's what they had them in. Something like that. Yeah. It was pretty fucking cool.
The fucking best 6-pack holder ever.
Yeah, let me now you talk and I'll show you my fucking thing, motherfucker.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, we have this kind of 6-pack holder for me is perfect because you could fit a bomber in a typical 6-pack, but it tends to break it. So really, only 2 or 3 will fit in there. And a bomber is something that I'm going to be bringing around.
Okay.
I brought a 6-pack over the other night to a friend's house, and yeah, this is the one thing that I actually made sure that I brought back.
So these are the mailers I got. They're all plastic.
Okay.
They fit in a nice, not a huge box, but you fit a ton of beer in here. And the best part is it's all like, what you do is you just lay your bomber down like this, and then you have alternating bombers going like this, and it's all cushioned. Like, you take a layer off, you throw another one on, and it's super hard plastic. It's super lightweight. I never used these before. I usually use like the vertical ones where they cap the bottom, cap the top, and then you throw them in there. Do you ever use those before?
No. What I have seen are like the almost like egg carton.
Yes. I've used those too.
I've had those before.
But this one seems like just by looking at it, it seems like it's gonna hold up. Like it's super light. It seems like it's gonna hold up fucking fantastic. And he's like, I stopped by today. He gave me 2 of those, and he's like, if you want like 70 of them, I have like 70 of them. I was like, I'm not a retail shipping outlet, but I'm like, I'll take a couple of them,
I'll take like 5.
Yeah. You want like 70 of them? You can have like 70.
No.
Yeah. Do you want me to open my own retail place? I don't.
Your own beer shipping shipping outlet,
which is highly illegal. I would never do such a thing. I would never send beer in the mail ever. This is all speculation and hearsay a lot of air quotes.
I amended my statement of how it's still illegal to ship with the Postal Service, but they're trying to change that.
You did. You amended it, but at the same time, it's going to come through in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Because there's a woman, I forget who she is.
Yeah, then immediately after, the next week after that podcast, I saw that, how she's like trying to change this.
Yeah, she's trying to change it. It's gonna get changed because it's fucking retarded. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make like. Let's put it this way: it's illegal, okay, to ship beer in the United States Postal Service. And I think I might have said this the other day. Like, I received 2 months ago, I received a package via the United States Postal Service that had beer stamped on the side of it, and it said beer, 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 like 19 times on the fucking thing, and it's like beer, 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 and I got it. So it's obviously they don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's kind of like jaywalking. It's like don't exactly. You're not allowed to do it, but if you don't show up at the post office like holding a bottle of beer, going, I want to send it to the mail, you're pretty much going to be okay. You know?
Yeah.
Just don't market fragile. That's the, beer mails. People send stuff. I've received shit that was packaged horribly. I've received stuff that was packaged that took me 17 minutes to find out there was actually beer inside. Like, I've gotten both ends of the spectrum. Package what you want. If it breaks, who gives a fuck? As long as you throw it, as long as you seal each bottle, then seal all the bottles within a containment area. If it breaks, but it's not going to leak. The leaking is kind of where you can get a little, not in trouble, but it's just, you don't want to deal with that. Send it however you want it. Just don't fucking market fragile. Just don't do it. Because the first thing I see when I see the word fragile is I want to kick whatever the fuck the word fragile is holding. Like, if someone says fragile, I want to punch it. You know what I mean? Be like, really?
Yeah.
It is fragile.
There was what cartoon? It was that Rocko's Modern Life cartoon in the 90s where they had like a post office thing. And they had like a little hole in the wall, and it was marked fragile. And they threw the package at the wall, and then like slammed up against it to get it through this like little circle, and then it came out like a tube on the other end.
When I think of fragile, I just immediately remember the beginning of fucking Ace Ventura when he's like playing soccer and football and everything with that fucking package. He's kicking it down the hallway, and then he delivers it to the guy who has a dog, and he's like, sounds like it's one piece. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I think of when I think of fragile. So. Well, that and Christmas Story, because it's French. Fragile. So, yeah. There you go. So 2 rules you have. 1, send me all your beer, and 2, don't market fragile. That's the rules.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up.
Wrap this up. Joe's on a time frame.
I would like to go
home
at some point. I would like to leave. So how do you think, a beer kind of going beyond what its style, like classified as, how do you think that happens?
How do I think it happens? From classification standpoint or brewing?
A little bit of both. Like, how do you think something just is in a good, always in a good way, becomes kind of something else? How does that happen for you?
Well, classification wise, it's very easy. It says basically they have to pick something. Usually when a beer is out of style, not out of style mislabeled, but out of style where it transcends a style, they just need to figure out what the fuck it is and label it so it has some kind of name. As far as where they go from it, I honestly think, to me personally, when brewers come up with 120 or they come up with Santa Claus, and we keep hammering on those styles because those are, to me, leaders in the pack. Honestly, I think it's personal fucking exploration. They want to produce something they haven't. Not necessarily. I don't think when Sam came up with 120 or the brewers at Schloss Eggenberg came up with Santa Claus, they knew the end game. I don't think they knew the end game. I just think they want to be like, what the fuck? I want to push this. I want to push this style to the limit and see what the fuck I can produce.
Well, I think in the case of 120, there was that like kind of back and forth for a little while between Dogfish Head and Sam Adams, where 120 was this ABV, then Triple Bock was this. Then 120 was a little bit higher. Triple bock was a little bit higher.
See, that's the thing is no, because that was worldwide. I think 120 was kind of just there. I think they pushed back and forth.
I always thought it was. I always thought that whole race. I thought that was 120.
No, because worldwide now is like off. Worldwide now is around 18-19%. Worldwide, I think, got up to 26% at one point. So I think, but again, same thing. You know what I mean? Like they're just the battling back kind of thing. I get that too, but at the same time,
I
like
think what I was going for with that was at one point, Dogfish Head was like, "We're happy with this now. Let's just keep doing this, and let's kind of drop off." And then at the time, I think BrewDog kind of tossed their hat in the ring with all their whatever the hells they have.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, like, there's like, it definitely has something to play with it. Because if you look, like, let's see, okay, I don't know. Okay, perfect example. Sammy Claus. I have one of the older. It's a new label. What happened was, Castle Brewery Edinburgh bought Sammy Claus, the recipe from another brewery. Sammy Claus got produced up until about, I think, 1998. Then it didn't get produced for 2 years, and then it came back in 2000. Okay. In 2000, it was still, if you look on this label, you probably can't read it, maybe. It says right there, Guinness Book of World Records down at the bottom. It says down here, Guinness Book of World Records, world's strongest beer. Or world's strongest lager, I'm sorry. And it was 14% at that time, the world's strongest lager. Now it's been eclipsed a billion times over by 19 other people. But like at that point, I think they hung on to that moniker. At 2001, that is not on the bottle anymore. So obviously, if they're putting it Guinness Book of World Records on it, they gave a shit about that moniker. They liked people knowing that they were the world's strongest lager or whatever. So it does mean something, but at the same time, I think Santa Claus hasn't really changed. So while they gave a shit about it, they didn't try to keeping on, which is, I think, is the point you're getting at, is that they had a great beer and they didn't bastardize
this is
it.
Good. Let's keep doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't bastardize it to make it more ABV and not a good beer, just to make something that might hold on to a world record. They said, okay, we have a great beer and it's a world record holder. Oh, someone eclipsed it? Well, you know what? Now we just have a great fucking beer.
Yeah. It's like, good. I think there was like I forget where it was from, but there was a beer that was like labeled like 65% alcohol, but then they tested it and it was only like 16.
I remember I remember you mentioned that to me. I've never actually heard that before. Yeah,
this was a couple, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago. I just kind of saw the link for it, and I looked at it, and it was like, I don't know if it was just like clickbaity, but it was like this, I don't know if it was a lager or something, but the label said that it was 65% alcohol, which I believe at the time would have made it the strongest beer in the world. But then they tested it in a lab, and the actual ABV for it was only around 16%. You know, again, I don't know exactly how true that is because I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but there's also I think that's the kind of race, almost like race to the top. Like we really have to just fucking say it's like, oh, this beer isn't actually 65% alcohol. Fuck it, let's just say it. They won't know the difference. You know, and I think there's that kind of race to it, whereas these other breweries that had a really high alcohol beer, it was still really good and you could actually drink it. I think they produced something and eventually they just said, this is good. Why do we need to change it? You know, if it's not broke, why fix it?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the basic rule of thumb right now when it comes to beer is, and I said at the beginning and it says it now, regardless of style, regardless of what it is, and regardless of what it's labeled as, if it's fucking good, it's fucking good. And that's why we're talking about the beers we're talking about now, because even the beers that transcend no styles or styles are their own, we're talking about them because they're good. They're not talking about them because they're like...
talking about them because they're bad.
We're not talking about Ghostface Killer right now because it is the hottest beer in the world. Like, that's just a gimmick, and it's a joke.
It is a gimmick. I had that beer. And it's
we had it at the bottle show together, I think.
No, I had it...
It was at the Christmas bottle share that that those people we used to hang out with did.
Mm. I had it before that, though. I had that and the Billy's Chili.
Okay, I had it before. It was cool. Whatever.
I know. Fucking hipster.
You're not wearing your fedora. You're not allowed to be like that right now.
I can get that easily and just go full hipster. But yeah, I had the Ghostface Killer and the Billy's Chili's, which is Ghostface Killer without the ghost pepper in it, and both of those beers are disgusting. I would actually marinate food in those beers. I would cook with those beers. I would not drink them.
No, it makes sense.
It's carbonated hot sauce, basically.
Hot sauce.
Yeah.
I don't know how much else I have to bring to the discussion today.
I don't know either. I think the point we're trying to make is that beers are sometimes not exactly what they say they are, but that's usually in a good way.
The point I'm trying to make is fuck styles, drink it, and decide your own fucking, like, that's what I mean. Like,
you know what you like. In the case of like was it your brother-in-law or something? Like,
but this is
the up the creek thing.
But here's the thing. I think in a grand scheme of things, I think it's a good thing that he bought that beer and didn't like it. That's the thing. Let's put it this way. On a radio show today, the host of the show, Derek, actually asked the brewer from fucking Scott Brewing, be like, like, we did our modus operandi, and he was like, what would you classify this beer as? He asked the brewer, and the brewer actually said, he's like, well, he stumbled over his words for about a minute, and he go, you know what, dude? He's like, I wouldn't really classify it as East or West Coast, and that's what was the question. Is it East or West? And he's like, I just think it's a good beer made well, and the whole East versus West Coast, or this beer versus that beer, I think is kind of old school and myopic. Beer has evolved and changed from not just a hop standpoint with all these newer hops, but from a malt standpoint to creativity to barrel aging, that I think a lot of monikers, like like pigeonholed classifications aren't fucking, I don't think they work as far as classification goes nowadays. No, like they're old. They're antiquated fucking, they're fucking a Dewey Decimal System is what they are. And it's just, we've gone beyond that. And I think like it's getting to a point where beer is either good nor bad. That's pretty much how I feel about it now.
I think, I really like that guy was like, dude, it's just a fucking good beer. Like, why does it need to me that was why does it need to be classified either way? Why can't it just be a good beer?
Yeah.
And I feel like someone who is super into that, like, oh, I only drink West Coast IPAs, I don't like the East Coast IPAs. I feel like someone, if you were to not give them a direct answer, I feel like they wouldn't drink it. You'd be like, I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna have any of it.
Yeah, so there you go. Rule of thumb, drink it all. Figure it out for yourself, motherfuckers. Don't be like, oh, that beer, it's labeled as this, and I can't drink it because...
Yeah. Oh, I only drink these.
Like today, I'm sitting there, I don't understand why this happened. And if any of you people are listening, don't get too offended. But after the show, I went to Sabatini's, and then I was talking with the two guys that do the show with Ed and Derek, and then Brad was working. Meat Smoke, baby. Meat Smoke. He was working.
I love the new Instagram.
I gave that to him, actually. We were drinking at Sabatini's, and I called him Meat Smoke. I'm like,
thank you for it?
He texted me the next day. He's like, I'm really liking meat smoke. He's like, I think that's gonna stick. I was like, hey, have it, baby. So like I gave him a meat smoke. Yeah, like I gave him meat. Well, no, I christened him meat smoke. Ryan came up with the brew photo on his own, but anyway, meat smoke was working.
I'm just busted, Ryan.
And he actually came over, and he's like, hey guys, you want to come over here? And we went over there. There was a dude looking for beer. And he's like, this guy's looking for beer. And he's in a Ballast place. And he's like, hey, these guys do a radio show about beer. What should he drink? And the guy's like, he's like, I like Ballast Point. He's like, I like hoppy beers, and I like Ballast Point Sculpin because I like hoppy beers. And somebody told me that Sculpin was really good. But I'm starting to try to get into dark beers. What should I drink? And the guy, like, even like Meat Smoke and Derek were like, okay, well, Sea Monster from Ballast Point is a nice dark beer, but it's not overly hoppy. Be like, but if you are trying to get into darker beers, but you're trying to transition into darker beers, you should try Calm Before the Storm, which is their cream ale, which is kind of like a white stout, white porter kind of thing. But to me, what the guy said was, I'm into hoppy beers. I'm trying to get into dark beers. That's what I heard. That's what he said. Yeah. And they're like actually asking him, like, they're telling him all the Ballast Point beers. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I grabbed him. I was like, dude, you like hoppy beers and you want to get into dark beers? I drag him over to the North Coast Old Rasputin. I'm like, that's fucking a stout and it has a ton of hops in it. You'll fucking love it. And they're like, oh, you're taking him away from the Ballast Point. I'm like, I don't think he asked for Ballast Point beers. I think he likes hoppy beers. He likes hoppy beers and he's trying to get into dark beers. He's not trying to get into Ballast Point beers. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I think it was. I don't think
something else.
Yeah, I don't think it was I think it was a miscommunication. I think they were like, oh, he's into Ballast Point beers. What other bio? I was like, all I heard was, I like hoppy beers, but I'm really trying to get into dark beers. And I immediately went, okay, Old Rasputin. That's the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, you need to drink Old Rasputin then, because that's literally a hop-forward Russian Imperial Stout. It's literally Fisher Price, my first fucking Russian Imperial Stout, one coming from IPAs. So I was like, there's a lot of different ways.
My first review.
I know that we've talked ad nauseum about that. Hence one of the reasons why I brought it up.
Indeed.
Yes. Anyway, but it was like one of those things where there's so many different ways, so many different styles, so many different things. Like to me, Old Rasputin is way out of style for fucking Russian Imperial Stout, but it works for some people, and that's the whole thing when it comes to beer. It's subjective. What we're talking out of style, you know what I mean? Some people would be like, "Oh, I like my Russian Imperials hop forward." So basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm going to stop talking now because I'm rambling, and yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
I think that just about does it.
Yeah, so I think we're done. There you go.
Cool.
I'm done. So let's do the whole sign off bullshit. We talked about loosely talked about, actually, we didn't talk about shit for the first 20 minutes. I figured out internet shit. And then we started talking about beer styles. We kind of dived in. It was a little. I think this is our most choppiest show. Not because of the internet snafus. I think it was a little bit. We just had a hard time keeping on topic.
We know what we wanted to put across, but we had a really hard time of actually getting it across.
Yeah. So not our shining moment. It's but at the same time, I think we gave enough information to keep people semi-entertained. So we talked about beer styles and beers that kind of leave specific beer styles or in styles of their own. We reviewed Endless Brewing's Grasshopper Pale Ale, and then we talked a little bit more about beers out of style and why they are out of style. And that's pretty much it. So, there you go. As far as this podcast goes, Google Hangout, if you missed this or you want to watch it or re-listen or whatever, anywhere else, you can catch it on my YouTube channel, Master Beer Reviews, or you can get a Love Beer Radio on iTunes and Stitcher at Love Beer Radio. If you'd like to be a panel member, who knows? Ask us. You can come on, and we don't care. If you've been in the beer 5 minutes or 5 years, if you want to be a panel member, let us know. Hook up with us at least, I would say at least 4 days in advance, because we do it doesn't seem like it. We actually do a little bit of fucking preparation.
We do planning. Typically,
yes.
So here, I will now talk about that.
Okay.
Drop one of us a line by probably Tuesday that's kind of Tuesday is when I really plan out the next week's episode, and kind of get everything in line as to what we're reviewing and what we're talking about. So either email myself, nepabbeerreviews@gmail.com, or comment on something, either one of our Instagram pages or wherever. One of us will find it, and we'll be able to set something up. So
yeah. So, and beyond that, if you'd like to check us out anywhere else on the internet, for me, I do beer reviews, brewery reviews, all kinds of beer shit. Matt at Massive Beer Reviews, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Untapped. How about you, Joe?
You find me at nepabbeerreviews.squarespace.com. Primarily, to be completely honest, I have done fuck all for the past couple of weeks as far as reviewing has gone. But you can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at NEPA Beer Reviews. And NEPA Beers on Untap.
NEPA Beers. Yes. So there you go, man. Another show in the books. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our hangout. Hopefully you join us next week and every other week. And I hope to see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.
Gonna hit the stop.